Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a terrifying and informative upload to share with you. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help, and it matters. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? Alright guys, I have a very terrifying experience to share with you. Also, I have proof that a video had been shadow banned. And I can actually tie it all into a very, terrifying and fascinating set of events. Today's first part of the upload. Greetings, Jeff. I've been a big fan for years. I consider your podcast research, and it seriously piques my interest for good reason. I've had an encounter of my own. I'm in my late 40s now. I am almost a retired police officer. I was the chief of police here in my town in Benton, PA, for a few years. I've been in law enforcement for almost 20 years, former military. Needless to say, I've been around. Before this incident, I have been a hunter for most of my adult life, so I'm very familiar with wild animals that are indigenous to the mountains of PA. We have deer and black bear and even a mountain lion or two, but the Game Commission will tell you they don't exist. We call them bobcats with long tails as a joke. It was about 10 or 11 years ago in a state game land just off of Mountain Road east of Jonestown. If you take Mountain Road east towards Shikshini, you'll come across state game lands north side of the mountain, mostly all woods and some farmland. They say there used to be an old chicken farm there, but I've hunted there for a few years. Strangely, there were no other hunters, red flag number 1, but it was rich with game. My oldest son and I would go out every Saturday after Thanksgiving and prep our location, rake out area so as not to be heard while walking, recon the deer. Then it was my younger son's first year out, when he was about 12 years old, so maybe 2010, and we were all excited. We normally get out before the sun comes up. It's dark. Being that we're on the west side of the mountain, it stays darker longer. My older son picked a spruce tree off of the main road. I sat about 20 to 30 yards off the road. On the other side of the road, the terrain goes up the mountain. My younger son and I picked a spruce tree about 100 yards into the tree line toward the creek. We had it all cleaned up, raked and ready. It was a cold December morning. I carried my Russian field rifle, 7.62 by 59. And my boys carried their 308s, big caliber rifles. Anyway, it was dark and we're waiting. I heard a lot of movement coming from my older son's location, like a herd of deer moving around. I told my younger son to get ready. After about 10 minutes or so, this herd of deer came charging right at us. The ground shook as these animals came right at us. As one of them went running by, I could have reached out and slapped it right in the butt. I smelled a musty smell, but nothing alarming. It ran past us down the hill toward the creek, then circled around and came to a stop about 50 yards away. This buck gave out 2 screams at us, more like a bark/scream. I couldn't place it. I just kept saying, "This is one aggressive buck." It was way too fast to be a bear. It was still dark to see to take a shot, so I waited till the sun came up, and then we left our spruce tree and headed to where we last heard it. It was gone. We didn't hear it walk away or run. It was about 20 to 30 minutes. We waited till sunlight. We checked the area. There was no sign. I was excited, yet confused. I had never seen this kind of aggression from a buck. My older son worked his way over and looked flushed in the face and a little shocked. I said, "Did you see it?" And he had a hard time with it and said it was too dark, didn't provide anything further. We then decided to leave the area. Looking back, I was trying to place this animal with what I was familiar with as a hunter. For a while, I literally thought with the ground shaking, we had a herd of deer running at us with one aggressive buck at its head. Last year, my wife and I drove to Norfolk to visit our older son, who was in the Navy, and we were talking about that morning, and he said, "Dad, that wasn't a deer." I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "I don't know what that thing was, but it came down off that mountain, and it was following our trail. It was loud sniffing and snorting the ground as it picked up our scent. He said, I honestly felt this thing found me. I would be fighting for my life. It was spooked by the oncoming car. Then it started to run towards you and my brother. I was able to peek around the tree, and it was standing about 20 feet away from me. It was no less than 6 to 7 feet tall, and it had no antlers. It didn't even have the hide like a deer. It was just a glimpse. This thing worked its way down the mountain right towards us. It was only one animal or creature, not a herd. He just kept saying how scared he was, and when it did pick up on our trail, he was relieved to see it leave and run toward us. I chalked this up as some kind of bluff charge from what we believe to be a cryptid, a large one. I did a little research, and there was a newspaper article from 1980 that reported a Dogman-like creature in the roadway of Jonestown Mountain. Was it that very same Dogman? Was it a different one? I guess I'll never know. But looking back, it was very surreal and frightening to be sitting there and feeling like this beast come at you in the dark and feel the ground shake as it got close. Crazy knowing what I know now, gathering my research. It could have been a very bad experience if one of us took a shot or injured it somehow. I believe it was trying to scare us or chase us out of its territory. If it really wanted us, it had us. Well, that's my encounter. Sorry, I myself did not see it, but I absorbed all other senses. My oldest son got the glance. He stopped hunting after that and soon went into the Navy. My younger one was never too excited to get back into the woods, although we plan on getting back out this year. Since that time, I don't hunt before the sun comes up. I go into the woods when the sun is up, where I can see, and I'm never alone. I also started to carry a .44 mag on my hip while hunting. It may or may not help, but it makes me feel better. Believe it or not. Good luck. Stay safe. Chief, Benton, PA. Alright guys, so I want to give you a little update before we get into the second half. I did touch base with Lewis from the video the other day, the former Iraqi war veteran. He's going to come back and share that experience with a little better mic quality and share a couple other little things that he had happen as well. Also, Brad, I'm going to be talking with Brad on Friday. We're going to set up a time and a date when we can get all of his encounters put together. I'm hoping that we can just record one whole day and I can break it up into a couple segments. Also, I spoke with the woman from South Dakota last night, or the night before, excuse me, and she is just getting over the vid and hopefully will be coming on soon to share her experience, the one where the 2 or 3 Dogman saved her from that, whatever you want to call it, whether it was a werewolf or a demon. We will never know. And hopefully she never finds out again while hiking in that area. So with that, let's get on to the second half of today's upload. All right, everybody. I have DJ with me today, and I'm making an upload to, well, kind of talk a little bit about the Shadowban video that just happened recently. DJ, how are you?
I'm doing well, Jeff.
Good talking to you. We talked a little bit before this. Now, something happened the day of the video. I put the video out on the 23rd. We had talked extensively about the storm that hit the first video. We talked about the storm. I had a person approach me. You had someone approach you. We actually didn't know that either. You didn't know I knew about it, and I didn't know that you knew about it until we both talked. And we kind of compared notes and shared what we both had heard. The second video was the one that got shadow banned, and that's when we talked a little more about the crawler, and when I talked a little bit about the possibility of the government using the weather to control the outcome or whatever of these creatures. And that is the video that got shadow banned. We listened back to it because usually when a video like that becomes shadow banned, there's curse words or anything. DJ and I listened, and there was no curse words in that video at all. That video came out the 23rd. The 24th, something happened to your friend. Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, sure. As our patrons already know, that we discussed that he had a mudslide near his property line of old coal mining property versus his private property. And what had come out with the mudslide was what he pretty well much as known as a crawler. Well, after that the side was fixed and everything was put back, I guess temporarily or whatever, he thought it was over. Well, he previously said he'd been having a car with government tags he'd seen around. He maybe thought was watching him or whatever, but he seen the car pull up in his driveway Saturday, and two guys were in the car. One got out, he was in a suit, had a shirt and tie on, and when he got out, he had his shades, his Ray-Bans, and he had a clipboard in his pocket. And he pulled a clipboard out, and he walked up to him and struck up a conversation. He introduced himself as a worker for FEMA, that they were surveying the neighborhood, taking pictures and getting statements and doing estimates to see if there was enough damage by the way of finance to bring in FEMA. And he said he was working for FEMA and he wanted to interview him. Well, you asked him how long you lived here. Do you own the property? Do you rent? How many's in your household? What do you do for a living? Any children participate in school? And then he asked him a weird question. He said, I was seeing that you had a mudslide the other day. Was there anything odd about it? Anything come out of the ground, or any broken well water or gas mains? And he said, no, not that I know of. And he said, you sure you didn't see nothing like that? And he just said, looks kind of blurted it out. He said, you mean the crawler? He said, oh, that thing was in that one pile of dirt that got taken away? He said, that was a mannequin. He said, no, that was a crawler. He said, no, what you seen was a mannequin. And anyway, the guy basically got smart with him and told him, if you make any more inquiries or you were inquired or asked what you seen, he said, you seen a mannequin. And he said, no, sir, that's not what I'm going to say. He said, I seen a creature that I'm not familiar with, but I've heard enough and seen enough to know that it was subterranean and it is a crawler. And he said, and the guy told him, he said, if you do that, there will be serious repercussions. Well, the guy got so mad, he told him, he said, you need to leave my property. He said, you need to leave it now. And they exchanged a few words, and, he just told him, he said, if you don't leave, he said, he said, I am armed. He said, I can be armed at any time. He said, are you threatening me? He said, no, sir, I'm just making a statement, and I'm promising you. The guy finally got the hint, so I said, well, this won't be the last you'll hear from us. And that ended that. So I don't know what's going on or what, but he was not just thinking about moving now. He's already talking about getting a real estate company and put his property up for sale.
Yeah. Well, he was followed too, right?
Oh, yeah. He said he's seen the same vehicle out and around, and just so happened, that it wasn't just coincidence. It's like he said, I don't believe in coincidence. At a couple places he was out running errands, he's seen the same vehicle. So he knows that they're watching him.
Right.
but to introduce himself as FEMA, and then like we talked previously, and you're right. Yeah. FEMA is backed by Department of Homeland Security.
And when we were talking, I said, "Isn't that Homeland Security?" I looked it up, and then I was like, "Whoa, that was the same people that came in to investigate the Corey Godsey case." And it makes a lot of sense, even with HARP being involved. I mean, there is no attachment, a government attachment. It's a government program, but as far as I've looked up and looked into, there's no kind of, probably Department of Homeland Security or Department of Interior would be responsible for the HARP program.
Right.
And FEMA trailers are typically used during weather storms and earthquakes and stuff like that. HARP is supposedly able to create earthquakes and large weather patterns and stuff like that. So it only makes sense that these two would be connected.
Correct.
And then that was the 24th. The video that you and I made, we made it on the 22nd. I put it out on the 23rd. And then I didn't notice it until today that it had been shadow banned. And I looked, and the date it was shadow banned was the 25th. Well, I asked for a manual review of the video, and what I got was, and like I said, DJ and I had listened to the video, and I didn't see a curse word in the video. With the shadow banned thing, it says view feedback. Human reviewer found that your video is inappropriate language, frequent use of profanity in the title and thumbnails, strong or extreme profanity, even when misspelled. Some examples also fall into the category use of. So I don't know if it's the abbreviation of government or what is going on, because there's not a curse word in there. And then the video comes out, the guy a day before the guy gets threatened, my video gets shadow banned. I don't think, I'm not a big enough channel to where I could have, I think it's coincidence, but
it's conspiracy.
Something's up, and I don't like it.
They know you are one of the few, if not the only researcher out there that don't sell spaghetti stories or creepypastas. You tell the truth, and you're educating the people and educating the masses, because the government tells us we should believe everything they say. No, these things don't exist. They're feeding us full of crap. You're the only one out there that tells the truth and letting people know what exists around them, behind them, above them, and under them. And people are taking attention and paying attention and learning these, and they're not liking the results because there's more questions and more people being asked and things that they don't know how to tell the truth if they had to, and they don't want to tell the truth. They don't want the masses knowing.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words. One thing that I did notice about the Virginia state government, and you and I were talking the day I did it, it was back when Timothy Honecker was found in that culvert tunnel there. And I was talking to you, and I think I had said, this is weird. I'm going to see if I can get in touch with the Virginia State Police public whatever person there and see what they have to say. And so I called, and she had said she acted like she didn't know about the bodies, because I said the bodies that are being found in Buchanan and Tazewell in Mercer, West Virginia. she said, well, I only was aware of one, and that would be Timothy Honecker. And I was like, there's like 8. And she kind of, and then coincidentally, right after that, they were digging in caves looking for another 2 other people. And
exactly.
it's just, there's a lot of wild things going on in that small section of Virginia and West Virginia. Yeah, you can say there's storms everywhere, but for a storm to hit your county, cause a mass amount of destruction, and you not get hit, but certain parts of the county get hit, is kind of strange to me.
Right. Well, it's a lot of questions. I mean, it leaves a lot of mouths hitting the floor and, asking why and what.
Yeah.
And who and where. And it's just, I don't, like you said, it's not just coincidence.
Yeah. And what were you going to say?
I said a part of Buchanan County got hit hard again yesterday.
Yeah.
We've had rain for the past few days. Thank God it's just gone off and on over here. But on the other end of the county, where Grundy and the little small counties, Whitewood, Oakwood, Van Sant, they're getting hammered yet again.
That's so strange. It is very strange. I had another subscriber send me an email. And I get, it's weird still when I get a thank you about a video that I put up, but she said, thanks for spreading the info. Her sister, I guess, did a Facebook Live showing, the amount of rain they were getting in West Virginia. And in just one part of the state, the rest of the state was, sunny. And it was pretty strange. I don't know. I really think, maybe the government is using a playbook out of the Bible. Let's cause some mass flooding and get rid of the unwanted. And right now, the unwanted would be the crawler or the Dogman. The more I've been thinking about it, I think that the Dogman is responsible for a lot. I think the Dogman is responsible for a lot of the missing persons, but I'm really leaning toward the crawler thing now. Eric Smith, and that's his name, Eric, right? Smith there, the guy who disappeared like 13 years ago.
Gary Smith.
Well, when he disappeared, they've not been able to find him, and he disappeared
2013, I think.
Hiking, hunting, and in a location where there's old mines and stuff like that.
And that cave that I've given you pictures of I took, that's just a few miles from his house.
Yeah. And there's plenty of caves out there. And
right.
I mean, I don't know. It's very disturbing to me that all of this is going on. You've got all these cave systems. You've got all of these sightings of Dogman, of crawlers. I liked what your friend said about the crawler to the guy there from Homeland Security. It looked like it had Jello-like skin and was bleeding raspberry jam.
Yes, that's his exact words.
What kind of mannequin looks like that? None.
Yeah.
None.
And it's stretchy, like Stretch Armstrong, flopping around when it was picked up. Because he said he watched it when the backhoe picked that certain amount of debris and which contained its body up. And he said them long legs just hanging there flopping. I mean, you ain't gonna tell me that that's no mannequin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and if you look at the locations, I've been really looking at the locations of these disappearances. And, like I've said, I'm a sucker for a Dogman story, a Dogman experience, a Dogman encounter. But I really don't think that what is going on in the last couple of years in your location is Dogman. I think they're
Well,
there. I think they're there, obviously, but
oh, they're there. I mean, and what I've been, with the ones I've had interactions or cursed or blessed to see, however you look at it, some people fear them. I fear them in a certain way. In a certain way, that I've sort of accepted that they are part of the system. However God intended it as nature, they are a part of it. And they don't scare me all that bad. A crawler scares a pea willy out of me. We don't know nothing about these things. They come out of nowhere. Nobody knows where they're at. And just like Dogman, when you start Dogman more and more, you're having more crawlers being spotted.
Yeah.
And they are scary. I don't know what they are, but they're just something that I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. And I just looked on the map really quick and it is Eric Smith, where he disappeared in Greenbrier County, in Cedar Bluff there. That really, the location, I quick did, while you were talking, I quick did a satellite image, and there are a lot of rocky outcroppings there where one of these things could, grab a person and pull him underground or in a small inaccessible cave.
Right.
And if they're dead, it doesn't matter if the person is dead, it's going to be pulled into a hole, it's going to eventually bend and break and snap into that hole and fit.
Exactly.
Just like with Tom Mezek, I'm really leaning towards a crawler being responsible for that more than a Dogman or a Bigfoot. It makes sense. It really does make a lot more sense to me that these things would be, I guess, more violent and with less stories behind them, because whoever has an interaction with them usually doesn't come out on top.
Yeah, they don't live to tell the tale.
And it's
sad.
Disturbing.
We know nothing of these things.
Yeah. Now, I was looking, I started looking at the map that when we did our first interview, off of 638, where they found that Dogman off of the Dismal Creek on Dismal Creek Road,
right?
And or Dismal River Road or whatever, and it's Dismal Creek, and that road 635. I looked at the image that day, and I looked at it again today, and as you know, Google satellite imagery does change occasionally. There was a lot of car prints in the little kind of, not parking lot, but dirt drive, I guess. And now there isn't any, which I've kind of found strange. I was like, that's kind of weird. I really it's a perfect location to hide out and get rid of things very quickly. You can use a helicopter rapidly. You've got roads that people, how many people are going to notice a car coming off of 638, and driving, they're not gonna really, because it's not a well-traveled road. It is, but it isn't, it's especially during the middle of a storm.
Right, exactly.
So to me, it's a perfect cover up, a perfect area for a cover up. And I'm curious. I'm wondering how many more of these creatures were found, because like you said, they took that crawler out with a dump truck. I mean, how perfect is that to hide something in?
Yeah, and he said it was just that one bucket that contained the debris, rocks, and the remains of that crawler that went into that one truck. Just that one bucket load.
Yeah.
And it left and went a certain different way.
They might have only used that train because it was close to a train track,
Yeah.
Who knows? They might have used these dump trucks that they were, saying, hey, we're going to use these. We're hauling, debris, but moving bodies right under your guys' noses.
Right.
Which is pretty scary to think about, because if they're if they're capable of doing something like that in front of a community's nose without really caring what happens to you guys or the repercussions, because if you think these creatures see that their whatever group, family, whatever gets taken away by humans, they're only going to lash out at humans.
Right.
So, I don't know. Now, I guess your friend is going to be moving. Let's keep your friend in our prayers, guys. He's dealing with a lot. It's getting. I could never imagine getting bullied off of your property in America. Growing up here, you don't think crap like that happens, but the more you dig and the more you look into these things, you realize just how evil our government is.
Yep, exactly.
So now, you haven't had no signs of anything up your way, have you, in a while?
No, it's been very quiet around here, thank goodness.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And you haven't heard any howling or anything? Nothing like that?
Not lately.
Good stuff.
Been quiet, nothing, just normal everyday life.
Yeah.
The quieter, the better.
Yeah. And like you said, another storm hit Grundy today or yesterday, right?
Right, they got a lot of rain.
Yeah, what'd you get? Like nothing?
It rained off and on, just showers, but nothing really heavy at the time.
Yeah. That makes no sense. And that right there, storms in that kind of location just don't act like that. If it's gonna open up, it's gonna, just in a county. I can imagine, a state would be a whole different thing. We got one storm here and, it's sunny over here, but we're talking a county, and your county is not that big. Buchanan County is not a large county.
No, it's not.
So, well, DJ, be safe, my friend. I hope that your friend is able to move successfully and without any more incident. And if you hear anything else, let me know, please. And be safe yourself.
All right, we'll do our best.
All right, buddy. Stay safe, and thank you again.
All right, have a good night.
You as well.
Bye.
All right, guys. With that, I want to thank you all for your support. I'd also like to state that I will not, even though this is a tiny drawback, stop looking into the truth and trying to bring the truth into the light. Because when the truth is in the dark, then it's a lie. And I don't like lies, and I don't like liars. So I'm going to do everything I can to expose and bring things to the public that I can. I know I'll get criticism from people, but I don't care. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to bring the truth to my family, you guys. With that, may the Great Spirit watch over all of us, and may He guide us down that path that we call life.